Hi, how's it going? And this is a GTX 660 Ti. It was released in mid-2012 and had an MSRP of $299 when launched. I recently picked this up for $30 used and was curious to see how well a cheap 7-year-old graphics card will perform in some newer titles. It's based on NVIDIA's Kepler architecture. It's a 28 nanometer chip that features 1,344 CUDA cores with 2 gigabytes of GDDR5 RAM. NVIDIA was very proud of this new architecture, as at the time it was the first to introduce GPU boost and a more performance-friendly TXAA for better anti-aliasing in games and overall smoother images. The GK104 chip was featured in many cards, like this one in particular, the 660, 670, 680, the 760, 770, and even some later on 800 series mobile chipsets. NVIDIA really used this architecture for quite a while, and it was a popular choice for gamers as it provided excellent performance at the time that lasted multiple generations. This Galaxy model actually had an MSRP of $340 and featured 3 gigabytes of RAM, with boost clocks reaching about 1,250 megahertz versus the 985 megahertz stock core clocks, or boost clocks, thanks to its aftermarket cooler and its beefy power delivery. So features and core clocks are nice and all, but how well does it actually handle itself in some modern titles? I spent about an hour or so in each title benchmarking it, finding the average FPS and also the 1% and 0.1% lows to see how smooth of an experience each title had, and was there any stuttering involved. For reference, the system we're using features a modest i5 4670 at 3.4 GHz with 8 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM and a couple of RGB lights just to add a few frames here and there. The first game I tested out is a popular game that everyone loves and hates, Fortnite. It uses the Unreal Engine, and that ends up favoring NVIDIA GPUs, and we find that it performs really well for its age here, getting around 70 FPS on high settings with no shadows, with 40 FPS and 20 FPS and 1% and 0.1% lows. I should note that those 1% and 0.1% lows are when you're dropping into the game, and for the most part, combat and actually once you've landed is extremely smooth. The next title here is Overwatch, and while being an older title, this performed extremely well, and I could play competitive all day with this graphics card. While that doesn't help my gold status, it shows averaging of about 85 FPS, which is extremely well for this title, with 58 FPS and 38 FPS for the 1% and 0.1% lows. Overall, this is a very enjoyable experience on this setup. Now, Apex Legends, being the newest title here, really starts to push the card and show its age, averaging just 48 FPS with 31 FPS and 21 FPS for the 1%, 0.1% lows. This was not a very, it was playable, it was not a very good experience. While, 48 FPS is considered decent, and I was able to get a kill here and there, it wasn't a very smooth experience, as the game would randomly stutter during combat, and turning down the resolution to 720p showed little improvement in the frame rate, so I figure this is more of the graphics card's architecture, something showing its age. It's a shame, but hey, this might not be the best budget graphics card for 2019. So yeah, there you guys have it. Given the right expectations, I do think there's some value to be had with this graphics card depending on the game you're playing. But at $30 to $40, which is the used market value, it might be worth spending the extra cash trying to get something newer, like an RX 560 or a 1050. These cards are much newer and will perform better in a lot newer titles. Plus, they don't require a decent power supply like this 660 Ti does. Anyway, thanks if you made it this far, and I hope you guys have a good one. Bye.